caught early, and the damage has been halted with treatment. I wasn't aware that I had blind spots. I didn't even know it, yet the field of vision test showed that my sight had been impacted. And then, as you all know, our pastor started having vision problems back in the summer several months ago, and he went to the eye doctor, and he discovered that his insignificant cataract of just several months before now had become significant. They suddenly had a growth spurt, and they happened to be positioned in a way that was more difficult than for some people because it positioned in a way that really impacted his focus. And when our vision needs correcting, not only is our sight impaired, but it does impact our body. And of course, he's had some real challenges over the last several months because of his vision. So our personal experience has caused a renewed appreciation for vision and for the ability to receive treatment to correct our vision. Because good vision is so important. And we can take good vision for granted until we don't have it. The ability to focus and to read a book, to see the faces of those that we love. And we could talk a long, long time about all the wonderful benefits of good vision. But on the other hand, our vision can be misleading. Have you ever heard the idiom, "My eyes are playing tricks on me"? Okay, sister, I'm going to have you put this slide up in just a moment. Francis Bacon was an artist who is known for his surreal and unsettling artwork. And after reading about his lifestyle, I personally believe that his paintings also reflected a deep spiritual darkness. But Francis Bacon also had a vision disorder. Sister, could you put that slide up right now for me? Now, this is a very mild one. I don't want to put the other ones up there because they're too dark. But Francis Bacon has a vision disorder. He had dysmorphopsia. It's a vision impairment that severely impacted his vision, and it distorted reality. If you see at the bottom, that's the actual photograph or the actual picture, and then that is the portrait that he painted. It's a terrible distortion. He painted what he saw, but he could not see reality. Now, sister, you can move away from that one because that one's very unpleasant. I just wanted you to see what actually took place when he would see. His words said that it would be like things that were moving, and so it was distorted. So he painted an altered reality. It was distorted. Claude Monet, a French artist in the late 1800s and early 1900s, is considered one of the founders of French Impressionism. And he's known for his works depicting nature. And his famous water lily pond inspired Monet to create a series of works composed of almost 300 paintings of water lilies. And it's fascinating to note the changes through the years. His earlier paintings were very, very clear, very distinct. And they were just very realistic. It's like a photograph, and yet it was so clear, so distinct. It just depicted nature just as we would see it. But over time, you could see a change in the style. Over here to the right, you can see that there was a change that started happening. And instead of distinct realistic details, the famous water lilies were blurred. And he started using more shades of reds and yellows. And in time, the change was drastic, and his paintings actually became garish and appeared more like abstract art. You see that in the middle. Do you see? That's supposedly resembling. See that bridge? It's not the same, is it? What would cause such an acclaimed artist to make such changes, to change his style so much? It was because his paintings were a reflection of what he saw. His vision had changed because the famous artist Monet had developed cataracts. And he started to struggle, stating that colors no longer had the same intensity. Monet's struggle with his vision is historically documented through his letters to his doctor. And his works of art changed because his vision changed. He painted what he saw. It was not an accurate depiction because his reality had changed. The way we see our world is impacted by our vision. And because we live in a fallen world, if we only see in the natural And that's how we see. If we see in the natural, as Paul stated in 1 Corinthians, we see through a glass darkly. We may not see the real picture because we see through the lenses of our needs, our desires, and our experiences. And when we perceive our world to be, what we perceive our world to be can become our reality. But our field of vision may have blind spots. And that creates a misperception. Without corrected vision, we have an obscure or imperfect vision of reality. We need corrected vision. We need redemptive vision. We need to see through the eyes of our Redeemer. Did you know that the origin of conflict can frequently be traced to false perception? Misperception is the base of conflict because our actions follow our perceptions. If we perceive unfriendliness in a room, we may withdraw and also appear unfriendly because we can react according to the perception that's in our room. If we perceive evil, we're going to respond and act according to the danger we perceive. When Pastor and I were young evangelists, we traveled with an 18-foot travel trailer. We traveled much up in the east and up into Canada, pulling this 18-foot travel trailer. And I'm so very thankful that we were young when we did that. And I'm so very thankful that we were very in love, because if you are living with someone in an 18-foot trailer, you need to like them a whole lot. We were in revival at a beautiful church in, of all places, Talmadge, Ohio. And yes, we did get a picture of Pastor standing by the sign. Church was great there. It was a beautiful building, a beautiful church, but there was a car stolen in the parking lot during the service. Now, we were parked in that parking lot. And everybody else would go home, but we went home in that dark parking lot. And after hearing of the stolen vehicle, I definitely perceived that dark parking lot as a dangerous place. Soon afterwards, we were preaching in Buffalo, New York, and we woke up to a very inebriated man shouting obscenities and shaking our trailer. Did you know that a grown man can shake an 18-foot trailer? He can rock it back and forth pretty severely. I know, I was in the trailer. I knew that the locks on the trailer doors were not a real hindrance. If somebody wanted to get in, they could. And I definitely perceived danger. Afterwards, we were back to another city in Ohio, and we were parked way across the church parking lot under a tree, and it was a very, very dark parking lot, and I already had a thing about dark parking lots. In the night, we woke up to a thunderous sound. And ladies, I know you already have heard this story, but we woke up to a thunderous sound, and it sounded just like a 200-pound man had jumped on top of our trailer. It was terrifying. We both woke up, we were both startled, and I perceived danger. So we were both so startled, but my husband, being my protector, he decided that he needed to go out and confront the situation. So he was ready to jump out of the trailer and go take care of whoever it was that was on top of our trailer. But I didn't perceive that as being a good idea. And so we didn't want them to hear us, the man that was on top of our trailer. So we're whispering to each other. And I'm telling him, honey, no, you cannot go out there. And he's whispering back. And by this time, we are standing in what was the little kitchen area, which was about 3 feet away from where we were sleeping. And we were standing there, and by this time, we're having a whisper war. Have you ever had a whisper war? They're very. And so we're standing there, and I look over, and I see my frying pan on top of my stove, and I picked it up. And I have never picked up a frying pan to cause our pastor harm. So that was not my intention, but while we're having this whisper war, suddenly I had this brilliant idea, and I reached over, and I grabbed the frying pan, and I pounded it on top of the stove as hard as I could, and I shouted, "We're going to shoot through the..." Well, The noise didn't stop. So Pastor won the whisper war, and he jumps out of the trailer, and then off the roof of the trailer jumps a great big cat. Sister Jinx, I don't know if it was a Maine Coon. I think it was a mountain lion. I don't know. Questions are based on our past experiences. Now, my dangerous cat experience isn't life-altering, but there are experiences that greatly impact if our vision doesn't heal properly. If we don't learn to correct our vision and see through redemptive eyes, then our future will be the lot that I still needed to learn.